I know, so I had fun with my sister.
How's that, Mr. Chair?
All righty.
We're ready.
Ready, Mr. Bill?
Yes, sir.
We can give you a few minutes. Let that lady take a crowd off. Okay. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Genoa Charter Township Board of Trustees to order at 6:30 p.m. If you would, please stand and join me for the invocation. Heavenly Father, thank you for the beautiful weekend you gave us to celebrate this great country we live in. Thank you for safely bringing us together tonight. Bless our time, our discussions, and our decisions. May your wisdom guide us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Can I get a roll call, please?
Now it's door weekend.
Bovarder, here. Susie.
Here.
Deaton, here. Spire.
Here?
Hunt.
Here.
Reiber.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Okay, we have quorum. And with that, I would like to open the call to the public at 6:31 p.m. I will ask anyone that's here to speak as part of the hearing on Genoa Estates Number 1, if you could please hold that until the call to the public during the hearing. But anyone else who would like to speak?
I have Paul Lambert.
Yes. Regarding the assessment for road fixing.
Oh, for Genoa Estates Number 1?
Yes.
Okay, if you could, just go ahead and hold that until we do
Oh,
the hearing.
okay, hold
Yeah,
it.
if you don't mind, yeah.
Okay.
That keeps it nice and clean.
Bridget Gateman.
Hello. So I was
Hello.
hoping my neighbor would also be here, but I don't think she got off work. This is regarding noise ordinance and how it's handled,
And where?
or not handled. At the residence with Josie and George, my neighbors, and the ongoing issue with the neighbor behind us. And the fact that an email from you guys suggested we involve the police so that they can witness this. They won't even come. So they tell us to call you. You tell us to call them. 7 years later, none of us are getting any sleep. 7 years. This is all night, every night. This is banging on metal. This is a guy with earbuds in his ears is unaware of what the noise he's making and causing a ruckus. Now, we live on a dead-end street. We're really the only two neighbors that experience it besides the homeowner that's in question. And he's employed neighbors that are friends of his in the adjoining Birkenstock subdivision to also participate in this. So your suggestion that we get neighbors to come on and complain or sign something or do something, you've got all of us, and everyone next to us is part of it. Now it's a vendetta kind of thing. So the big concern is what we're doing to enforce ordinances. I don't know what our steps are. I don't know what, yes, I did put cameras up. You suggested in an email I put cameras up. Cameras detect movement, not sound. They didn't record anything unless there was movement. I have a 6-foot fence. There was no, he has 3 or 4 of those 10 by 20 tarp shelters lining the fence. So there's nothing going over that that's gonna set the cameras off. Something has to be done. I'm not sure what the answer to that is, but that's why I'm here. Suggestions?
During the call to the public, just go ahead and give us comment. We might respond at the end if we have a consensus.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay, anyone else wish to address the board on topics other than the Genoa Estates number 1? Okay, with that, we will close the call to the public at 6:35 PM. And at this point, I would entertain a motion regarding the consent agenda.
I would move approval of the consent agenda with items 1 and 2.
I have a motion. I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now, if anyone would like to make a motion regarding the regular agenda.
Mr. Supervisor, I make a motion to move item number 9, the Michigan Solar Solutions topic, to next meeting.
Okay, you
Or
want
remove
to,
it from this meeting's agenda. I think that we need a little bit more information on the overall cost of the project.
okay, would you like to put it down into the items for discussion so we can discuss it?
Yeah, we can discuss
Okay.
it.
Therefore, I will need a motion.
I make a motion to move agenda item number 9 from the agenda to discussions.
I'll second it.
Okay, and approve the rest of the agenda as written.
I also have a motion that I would like to make
Oh,
regarding
okay.
the agenda. So do you want to continue on with this motion to move 9 to discussion?
Okay, yeah, that's fine, okay. So we'll move action item number 9 to discussion item will become number 13. So that is the motion. I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Trustee Walker?
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda regarding item number 7
Okay,
to include another candidate for that position of Huron River Watershed Council representative.
okay. I have a motion.
Was the motion
Do
Todd, to
I-
add another candidate?
Yes.
Somebody's name for consideration for that position?
Yes, sir.
From my understanding is the deadline has passed. How can we add somebody that after the deadline has passed for appointment? The township supervisor put in a deadline of 3 weeks and he received 3 applications. And you're wanting to extend the deadline? Is that what you're wanting, or?
I was unaware that there was going to be an administrative committee vote on this last Monday.
Not a vote, it was a recommendation.
Okay, a recommendation. I wasn't aware there was going to be a finalized recommendation on that date. So I did communicate with you last week, Kevin, that this individual has expressed an interest in representing us in the role of Huron River Valley, or Huron River Watershed Council representative. He's very well credentialed.
I would recommend that we leave item 7 as is and have that discussion when we get to it.
We don't need to move it off the agenda. We'll just talk about it when it comes to time for it.
Okay, fair.
Okay. Okay, so with that,
Should I move this
I move
one?
to
Number
approve
12?
the regular agenda with the amended consideration of taking off number 9.
I think we already did that.
Well, we still have to approve the agenda.
We did
so we
that.
have to approve the agenda
Did
as
we not do
amended.
that?
No,
We did.
Oh, that's true, we didn't do the second adjustment. I apologize.
okay, that's fine. I thought that we took that away from Bill after he had to move for it, and then we wanted to go back to,
It was confusing.
yeah, okay.
Okay. With that,
So do you want to continue on with your motion?
No, because it's already been taken care of apparently.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be part of the discussion on action item number 9.
So we still need to make a motion
7, I'm
to
sorry.
approve the agenda
That's what I
as
thought.
otherwise written.
Yeah,
I believe
Already-
trustee Reiber's motion was to approve the agenda, moving number 9, and that is what the board voted on.
Okay.
So the agenda got approved as part of
I
his motion.
misinterpreted that as only addressing item number 9,
Yes.
while I was going to have an opportunity to amend the agenda regarding number 7, which is why I brought it up.
Yeah, I think it was confusing the way that it
We're good now.
went down.
Okay. I'm fine.
okay.
Thanks for keeping.
Moving on to action item number 3, which is the final public hearing on the Genoa Estates Number 1, Weatherly and Russell Drive Road Rehabilitation Special Assessment Roll. As part of that hearing, at 6:41 PM, I would like to make a call to property owners within Genoa Estates Number 1 regarding the Special Assessment District. Here.
I'm sure you probably had done your research on this and cost and everything, but I just want to say that I've been off last 2 months. I'm self-employed, knee surgery. I don't have the finances to have a tax hike of $700 a month for 10 years. And I know it's going to be more than that when taxes go up normally without this special assessment. So I'm just wondering, what do you do in a situation like that when you can't afford? I mean, I've been there almost 40 years.
There is a hardship program that you can work with our assessor with, that if you're under a certain income, the Board of Review can look at it and review it and possibly consider a reduction on taxes. It would not be a reduction on the special assessment.
Okay.
And that's state guidelines for the income level.
Okay.
I do want to clarify, you said a month, it's not, it's a
year.
year. It's $694 a year
Right.
added to your taxes.
Yes, for 10 years.
You did say a month, I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify
I
that.
meant, yes, but it's over a period of 10 years. But I know even at 700 a year, plus the raising of taxes, I mean, it's going to be 1,000 before you know it. And I just can't do that right now. I don't know if we'll ever be able to. So that's my say. So,
What was your name, sir?
Paul Lampert.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
We'll take it under consideration, absolutely. Are there any other property owners regarding Genoa Estates Number 1? Please, yeah.
We've lived in Genoa Estates since 1977, so this is our second road assessment and gas assessment. My question is there, and I may be too late because we haven't attended other meetings, but is there other options other than what they're, I mean, there's got to be other things that they can do to the road to improve it, rather than taking everything up and redoing everything again. Has that been considered?
In this case, since it's been 30 years, that's actually about 10 years past the expected
I know, but it's
lifespan.
not that bad. I live there. I mean, I'm just asking, have they considered other options? I know that they can take the whole thing up and put it back down. I've seen that done in subdivisions and other areas, and I know that there's other things that they can do. My question is, has any of those things been considered other than doing what they're doing?
We'll just follow what the road commission recommends whenever the residents come and ask for a road rehabilitation.
You talked to the road commission,
Yep,
so I can call the road commission?
Yeah. Although, depending how tonight's vote turns out, I don't know if they can change it or not.
Okay. Well, I didn't know, like I said, I haven't been to any of the meetings, and I wasn't aware of the first one, and that's my own fault. So I just wondered if there was any other options that they considered other than tearing it all up and and doing it. I mean, like Paul said, he can't afford it. It's not that we can't afford it, but when I drive around the subdivision, I don't think it's that bad. I know it needs to be addressed, and I know it needs to be done, and I know there's other things that can be done other than this. So it's too late now, right?
Well,
That's
I
with the road
mean,
commission, they didn't give us options.
we had, this is our, fourth meeting on it technically. So yeah, Garrett did come in and do a presentation and kind of spoke on what he thought, he's the engineer for the road commission, on what
Okay.
what his take on the road conditions were. And at that time, the residents that were at the meeting seemed to agree with him.
Okay. So it's my own fault for not being here for the meeting.
Well,
didn't know
different
if there was
people have a
like I
different
said-
take.
Sure.
Given the age of the road, I highly doubt that they would want to do any capping.
Can't do capping. Capping
What'll happen is the underlying cracks come back through in about a year.
I know that. You can't
Yeah.
put a Band-Aid on it,
The-
is my point. You
Yeah,
can't put a
at the-
Band-Aid on. But
at
I
that
know
age,
there's
that's what
other
the road
things that you
commission
can do, and that was
recommends.
so they've already made their recommendation, and I screwed up, basically.
Can we
Okay.
can we get your name and address?
Diane Ross, 2949 Weatherly. Diane with 2 N's. 2949.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Please. It's easier for the folks on the TV to hear.
John Stone, live on Weatherly. And I just wanted to say that the gentleman who gave, from the Road Commission, who gave the PowerPoint presentation during the first meeting, I found that very informative, and we have hard copy printouts of that. Is that something that could be put up for those kinds of questions? That could be put up on the website? Because I thought that was very informative. I don't know if it's up on the website, but it would be an easy way to access.
Generally, we do not, but I appreciate the suggestion. We can create a separate spot for people who are coming up for SADs, to do a little bit of a review.
Yeah, it occurred to me that, that might alleviate some of the concerns. or
Sure,
questions.
no, absolutely.
Okay,
I
thank you.
appreciate the suggestion. Thank you.
I'll just add, I have my business card, I think, at the table as you leave. If you want to send me an email, I'm happy to send you whatever information I have in the file about the project, including that presentation.
Hi, everybody. Lynn Bondi, 2922 Weatherly. Just my final stand here at the meeting in support of the road rehabilitation project. Again, appreciate all of your time and attention and contribution to the project, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other residents of Genoa Estates number 1 that would like to speak regarding the SAD project? Okay, at this time, which is 6:48 p.m., I will close the call to the property owners portion of the hearing, and I will open the call to the general public. So if anyone from the general public would like to make a statement regarding the special assessment district and project for Genoa Estates number 1, please address the board. Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the call to the public at 6:49. Moving on, we would have action item number 4, which is a request for approval of resolution number 5, confirming the special assessment role for the Genoa Estates number 1, Weatherly and Russell Drive, road rehabilitation special assessment project for the winter tax bill 2025, starting.
Just discussion real quick. I'd just like to add, out of the 36 property owners, these are the first 2 oppositions we've heard from any property owners. And while I do sympathize with that, it is a heavy hit to your annual tax bill. It's a great project because the township, at least, we do contribute to it, so it does help reduce the cost to the homeowners. And being able to spread it out over the number of years that we do, it does kind of help that hit a little bit. So,
I see a hand.
She wants to ask another question.
Oh. I'll grant it, go ahead.
So the last time we did it, the township put so much in, the road commission put so much in, and we put so much in. Have that's all been decided too? And what is, who's doing what?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear.
Yeah, so, actually, I looked it up, and 30 years ago when we did this, it was prior to the township contributing, so you didn't get that.
Okay.
And back then, we charged us 7% interest, so
What's the interest
believe
rate
it or
this
not,
time?
this is way better, 2%.
2%, okay. And then are you contributing? some?
Yes, we are.
How-
54,000 to the project.
And is the
It's
road commission?
1,500 per house.
Right, is the road commission doing anything at all?
They
Because
just,
it's
they
not a
provide the
private road.
engineering for free.
Pardon me?
They provide the engineering for the project, so.
And they do all the inspection for the project as well. So
I
they do
know.
all
I-
the
well,
design, engineering, and
Well, yeah, that's part of
inspection.
their job, yeah.
And I will add to, the contractor that the County Road Commission that has been using for road projects the last few years, has been locking their price. So the price that is quoted for your road improvement project this year is the same as it would have been 2 years ago. And it's a fantastic time right now to do this because the contractor has been locking the prices. I do expect the road commission will see a pretty hefty increase because it's been stayed the same for the last few years. But in terms of timing, I know nobody wants to spend the money, but they're.
Well, it's not, it's, nobody wants to spend the money ever.
Right.
So the township, I thought the township did provide 30 years ago. It did not?
Unfortunately, this project was one of our first 30 years ago.
Okay.
And it was prior to
Well, our
us
township's
setting
one
up
of the
that.
original townships in, or not, subdivisions in Livingston County. Grand Circle may be another one. Those.
Yeah, I
that's
think
also-
Genoa Estates was one of
I
our
know.
first.
We've been there since 77,
Yeah.
so.
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't. That's interesting. I
Yeah.
thought you did. And then road commission, so we took the whole brunt of it then, back then.
You did.
Okay, that's good to know. I thought you didn't. Okay, well, you're putting in, how much did you say?
1,500.
1,500 per parcel with a total of 54,000.
Okay, all right. All right,
And
thank you.
one other thing you might note about that is the amount of money that this township gets out of your taxes. It'll take us literally those 10 years to get another nickel from you.
Well, Genoa Township has been one of the better townships in Livingston County.
Yeah.
I sell real estate, so I know what the other townships, and I was always been prouded on Genoa. So, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Continuing the discussion, if anyone has anything else they would like to add, or any questions they would like to ask. With that, I will entertain a motion on action item number 4.
I'll move to approve Resolution Number 5, confirming the special assessment role for Genoa Estate Number 1, Weatherly and Russell Drive Road Rehabilitation Special Assessment Project slated for winter taxes 2025.
Okay, I have a motion.
Support.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? May I get a roll call, please?
Sure. Walker,
Approve.
Reiber,
Yes.
Reiber.
Sorry.
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Spiher,
Yes.
Deaton, yes. Susie,
Yes.
Hovarder. Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Resolution number 5 is approved. Moving on, action item number 5 is a consideration of amendments to the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget for Fund Number 202, SAD Roads and Lakes, to create a new Department Number 500 for the Genoa Estates Number 1, Weatherly and Russell Drive Road Rehabilitation Project with new line items as follows. Part A, new revenue line items, 202-500-628-005 for SAD principal in the amount of $30,000, and 202-500-665-001 for interest in the amount of $5,000, And Part B is a new appropriation line item 202-500-801075 in the amount of $304,000.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This line item on the agenda tonight was contingent on the passing of resolution number 5. So now that that has occurred, these are the budget amendments necessary for our budget. I did just want to make a note, and that is in regard to the status of this fund. So we have done a large number of special assessment districts for road improvement and for aquatic weed control these last few years. And the balance in this fund has been diminishing as a result of that. It will be repaid over time as people pay back the township. But I did just want to point out to the board that after this project, it'll leave just over $208,000 left in Fund 202. And I do have a number of road improvement projects in the works, so there is potential that in order to support more projects, we may need to transfer more money in to support this fund. And I wanted to point that out this evening as part of this amendment.
Thank you. Okay.
Kelly, how much was the starting this fiscal year? How much was in the budget?
In account 202? Or
Yeah,
Total.
the 202, 500.
I'd have to go back and look that up.
That's okay, if it's gonna take, I mean, are we halfway through it, are we 2/3 of the way through the money?
no, we
It
had.
really it goes up and down, because once the construction project happens, we pay for the full thing up front. And then as we levy summer tax, some of them are on summer tax, some of them are on winter tax, so the collections are coming in sporadically, not just all at one time, so it really varies.
Okay.
But I gather the point is that it's
We're running.
depleting, and we got other things in the works, so we're going to have to transfer if we're going to consider other things in the future.
Correct.
Yeah, and my point, and Kelly made it to start off with, we've already funded several other different special assessment district requests throughout the year, so, there are others of our neighbors, including last year, my neighborhood had one that get the gift that gives for the next 10 years, get the gift that keeps on giving. So, usually it's something requested by the majority of the homeowners in that thing, so.
Absolutely, and at some point, the road commission caps their matching funds that they do with townships. If we get inundated with special assessment districts, we may have to look into that.
Yeah.
I don't see that as of right now, but, if a lot of large ones came in, that may be something we would want to do to spread the load. To cross that bridge when we get there, so to speak.
Yeah, I did just look it up, and it looked like the 334,000 was the ending fund balance in the 24-25 budget.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. This fund was over $3 million, I believe, a couple years ago. So we have done a ton of projects and put a lot into supporting roads in our community these last few years.
We had a few pretty hefty projects, too.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Still waiting on a motion
All right,
on action item number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendments to Fund 202 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Action item number 6 is a request to approve a project agreement with the Livingston County Road Commission for the Genoa Estates Number 1, Weatherly and Russell Drive Road Rehabilitation Project with the township's cost not to exceed $300,000 from SAD Fund Number 202-500-801-075.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is based on an approval for resolution number 5. I have been in communication with the County Road Commission throughout this process. Their contractor is aware of the project and is anxious to move forward. So this is a request to approve this construction agreement, which we will then turn it over to the County Road Commission. The County Road Commission is who will then correspond with the residents regard to timing, when to expect construction, what to do during construction, what type of delays or things of that nature you can expect during the construction process. Typically, they go door to door before it starts and inform everyone of what's coming. And so once this gets approved, we'll turn it over to them and they can get this on the schedule.
Okay.
They will. Correct. Yep. They may either like put something in your mailbox or hang a door flyer. So you'll start seeing them out in the neighborhood. It's really up to when their contractor can do it. So the representative that the chairman mentioned earlier, their construction engineer is named Garrett Olson. I can share his contact information, or any of you are welcome to call the County Road Commission and ask to talk to Garrett, and he can give you information. Yeah, Garrett's the guy to talk to.
Okay. So with that, I will entertain a motion on action item number 6.
I'll make a
Move to
motion.
approve the
Go ahead,
project agreement with Livingston County Road Commission for Genoa Estate Number 1, Weatherly and Russell Drive Rehabilitation Project with the township's cost not to exceed $300,000.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Action item number 7 is the consideration of a request for approval to appoint Dan Kashian to the Huron River Watershed Council with a term ending November 20, 2026, as requested by the Township Supervisor. A little background, we are allowed a voting seat on the Huron River Watershed Council, which is currently empty. So I put out a call on social media for applicants to submit if they're interested and provide a brief bio, if you will. And we had 3 people who did. We felt that Dan was the most qualified. He has a lot of experience actually volunteering with the Watershed Council, and he's also a professor of ecological or environmental biological science. So he is pretty qualified. So I'm the one that made the recommendation, but I did discuss it with the admin committee, and they agreed with my take on the situation. Trustee Walker had another gentleman who was interested. Again, he did miss the deadline, and I technically still don't have, I just have something on my phone. Preferably, we would have had an email of like a bio. But what came to my phone would have been better had it been on a, in an email form so I could share it.
Oh, okay.
Not the end of the world, but
You didn't tell me that when we
we
were
asked
talking.
for.
So, anyway, gentleman's name is Craig Leslie. So he's expressed an interest in taking on the role of the Huron River Watershed Council representative. He's a retired executive from Delta Dental Plan in Michigan. He's previously served Genoa Township for 10 years on the Planning Commission, including chairing the Planning Commission. His service ended in about 1992, following a successful completion of the Oak Point Development and Latson and Grand River projects. He currently serves as chairman of the Ann Arbor chapter of SCORE. SCORE is a mentoring organization. They provide free mentoring resources and advise people who are in business or want to start a business. He's president of Crandall's Crooked Lake Heights Civic Association, chairman of Crooked Lake Aquatic Association, otherwise known as CLAM. He's chairman of Huron Valley chapter of Ducks Unlimited, member of Michigan Ducks Unlimited Legislative Affairs Council, and chairman of Ducks Unlimited major donor team. He's a dues-paying member of the Huron River Watershed Council, which is what he would represent us at. He's also the individual who shared, you remember like a month or so ago, the history of the Crooked Lakes that we discussed in our meeting? He brought that forward. He put that together and shared that with us. He truly cares about our natural resources in the area. He's very experienced in ecological, environmental, and resource management. And as he's a member of the Huron River Watershed Council, he would be familiar with their operations and be familiar faces.
Okay.
So that's who I would nominate.
Okay. One alternative plan is we do need to nominate an alternate. We could certainly nominate him from the forms that I had. That is the resume that I handed out this evening. Would have been the person I would have considered, but you know, I'm open to suggestion if we feel that would be a better alternate. We could also do it that way and appoint that person to be the alternate. Which the first meeting actually is before our next meeting, and we need the alternate. So that's why we're going to appoint the alternate this evening.
Well, I do recall Craig Leslie serving on the Township Planning Commission, and he always did a wonderful job. We're very lucky to get so many qualified candidates to apply for a volunteer position.
Absolutely. My hope is that everybody will at least follow this through and be involved, whether they're representative or not, because it's a good cause, and you know, it's great to have this level of support.
And I have to say, with Craig being already a member of that board, or that organization, he would be good to have.
He understands them, and having served here, he understands us. So
The unfortunate thing in my mind is that he missed the deadline and he didn't submit the information to originally be considered. That's why I think I would lean toward putting Dan Cashian as the representative with Craig as the alternate.
Craig's name is on here, on page 32 of the packet, with a couple of other candidates. This is a thanks for stepping up to volunteer for this position. So with his name being on here, is that a typo or something, or how did his name get on?
I was aware of it, just after the deadline.
Oh,
So I'm just
okay,
thanking
gotcha,
everybody who
gotcha.
volunteered.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I kind of feel the same way Robin does.
Okay.
Just be truthful. I mean, if there's a deadline, that's a deadline. But also, he seems to be well qualified as
And it
as
is a
second.
one-year term, so
It's, yeah,
we can flip it.
it's not a
next year.
lifetime appointment, so,
Right.
yeah.
And it's volunteer.
And it's volunteer. We are happy to have as many as we can get.
Do you think Craig would be okay as an alternate? Would he be interested in something like that?
Yeah, he wants to help out.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, with that, if anyone wants to put that into a motion form.
I think Robin's already said it.
Let me say it officially. How's that? I would make a motion to approve to appoint Dan Cashian to the Huron River Watershed Council with a term ending November 20th, 2026. And also to appoint Craig Leslie as the alternate to the Huron River Watershed Council with a term ending November 20th, 2026.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion?
Real quick, do you think these are positions that need to be sworn in?
Not by us, I don't think.
I would, they're representing us, so just to play it safe, we should.
Okay. Would you
Absolutely.
notify
So
them then?
I'll get you their contact information.
Okay, all right,
We'll
sorry.
make that happen. Okay, so seeing no further discussion, I would ask all those in favor of the motion to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Congratulations to both those people. Again, thanks to everybody who volunteered. The response was overwhelming to me.
And thanks for hearing me out.
Action item number 8 is a request for approval of the cemetery forms as requested by the township clerk.
Okay, I have some cemetery forms. It's a purchase agreement that we have the residents fill out when they would like to purchase a plot in our cemetery. And I did notice on the form there was a couple clerical errors. I would like to fix those, you know, after this has been approved. It's just a couple minor things, nothing big, but.
So one was just the sequence of the numbers.
Correct.
Just need corrected, which is minor.
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with whatever happens with the document if a few corrections have to be made for grammar and or spacing. You know, I don't think that needs to be,
Substance.
needs to hold this up, yes. So.
I want to thank the clerk for the work done on all this also.
Yeah. Once again, Janine, good job.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the Genoa Charter Township Cemetery Purchase Agreement as written with minor clerical adjustments discussed previously in the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask all those in favor to signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same? Motion carried. Moving on, action item number 9 will be the consideration of a request for review and approval of an updated Rules of Procedure policy for the Township Board.
Which we moved to discussion.
That we moved the
Solar solutions.
the solar
sign.
solutions, yes.
There's a new
We
number
moved
now.
number 8 to the,
Sorry.
oh, that's okay.
I was confused like you because
So the brief history, we discussed this last time. Trustee Reiber came to the board and wanted an update. The previous policy was from 1995, and we all gave some input, and Kelly compiled that input, which is what you see in your packet.
Yeah, and I'm happy to go through it page by page if you like. I was able to convert the old 1995 policy into a Word doc, and I tried to do a track change on that. So it's a little messy to look at. That's why I added some text boxes to draw your attention to the changes. So that is in there. There's one recommendation that is in the markup that is not in the hard copy, and that is the meeting, I think the cancellation policy. So section 2.06 of the proposed policy addresses cancellation of a meeting, and it refers to the meeting cancellation policy. It's somewhat redundant, so I don't know that we need to keep that section in, but I thought I'd leave that to the board's discretion if you want to leave the wording or just eliminate section 2.06.
Redundancy we can eliminate, in my opinion.
I agree.
Agree.
Another thing that Kelly did is things that are actually set forth by law, we took out of our rules here, because if the law ever changes, we'll have to approve new rules.
Good idea.
If it's the law, we need to follow it anyway, so it's, we probably don't need to make it part of a policy. So we kind of simplified them, cleaned them up a little bit. I think she did a good job of implementing everybody's suggestions.
Well, thank you, Kelly. This looks like a monumental task here with all the redlining, and it had to have been hard to follow. But I think it turned out very well.
Thank you.
Can I just make one recommendation if we're going to do a small clerical error? It says time of the meetings, regular scheduled meetings shall begin at 6:30 o'clock. Do you want to just change that to PM?
That's fine. That's the way the wording was on the original one, but that caught me too.
It was an
so.
old document.
Because I have, afterwards, it says, under consideration by the hour of 10:30 PM, so I just wanted it to be uniform as well, so.
Yes.
6:30 o'clock.
Okay, I will entertain any motions regarding the policy for the township board.
Bill?
Hello. I make a motion to approve the rules and the updated procedure policy for the township board. Is that all I have to say?
Would you like to do the suggested correction
And the
of
suggested
removing?
corrections that we
2.06.
discussed today, 2.06, to delete that, since we have that already involved, and then the PM instead of.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Moving on, action item number 10 is the consideration of a request for review and approval of an updated credit card policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This revised policy, I apologize that I don't have it in a track change format. The majority of it has just been swept over, but because it was reformatted and moved into different locations, it redlined the entire document, which would not have been helpful for me to provide to you. So this is an amended resolution. And I should mention here that the state law requires that the credit card policy be by resolution. So most of our policies are not by resolution. This is required by law to be by resolution. So that means that we will need to do a roll call vote if you choose to approve that this evening. And we took the guidance provided by MTA. I reviewed other communities' policies in addition to ours and just put in some parameters in terms of who can use it, what their responsibilities are, what type of purchases can be made, and try to summarize that in here. I did want to point out to you that as a result of some discussions this meeting, it was recommended that we make a change to the number of authorized users. I did provide at the table for you this evening a revised version that eliminates the head assessor and the facilities director as authorized users. We thought it would be cleaner to just have 3 cards in the name of the township to the manager, the treasurer, and the clerk. The other people are able to come to us if they want to use it and seek our approval for it in accordance with the purchasing policy, but we thought it would be more secure to limit the number of people that had a card. So that is a change, if you approve this evening, that we would recommend that you include.
Well, it was a much-needed update, and once again, I know this was a lot of work for Kelly, so again, thank you for the time and effort you put into this document.
Excellent job. And just so everybody knows, it's not like somebody could easily go hog wild with a credit card were they to acquire one. Our clerk combs through all invoices with a fine-tooth comb, very fine. And if anything were to slip by her, which I highly doubt it would, we have 2 sets of audits that we undergo, and I am extremely confident that one or both of those would catch anything that is irregular. But it's great to have this properly spelled out in a document in an updated form.
I don't see anywhere in here that gives a limit on the amount of money they can spend.
Yeah, there is.
So
just look for it.
the policy proposes a $5,000 total credit limit per card. And then it references a purchasing policy, which is actually the next item on the agenda. Creating this credit card policy identified, for me at least, a need for some type of purchasing parameters to go along with it. So there's the $5,000 limit on the card itself, and then required to comply with the purchasing policy. That is the next item on the agenda.
Kelly, I read through and I'll direct my questions to you because you created and
Yep.
updated and all this.
Please do.
So I noticed a couple of things in here. Number one, you're just referencing the $5,000 per card limit. Used to be 1,000, I think, right? Was that the previous limit? And then in the previous policy, it seemed much more restrictive on what the credit card could be used for, mostly capital outlays for travel expenses, and then there was a number B, I can't remember what it was. So what is the benefit, I guess, of increasing the limit per credit card and then expanding the list of allowable expenses? Was the old policy too restrictive, or what was the problem?
Yes, I think it was. And practice had sort of deviated from the policy to begin with. So the old policy said it could only be used for travel expenses, and then expenses related to the vehicle. And as times have changed, so has the need to make purchases online, to pay subscriptions, renew people's memberships. I mean, I feel like the world has changed in regard to how things are paid. We have some vendors that don't even allow us the ability to cut a check. Our ArcGIS system, for example, Esri, I think that is one where they require a digital payment. So it's the options available to request a check are greatly diminished, and we're finding more and more we're required to have a card to make a payment or a purchase.
The 90s called and they wanted their payment form back, so we had to update.
I figured that there was a rhyme to the reason. I just
No, there was.
wanted to.
And there was times
Absolutely.
this last year where we had to make payments to the credit card before it was due, just to be able to open up the line a little bit to get things purchased that were, we exceeded that, like these computers and so forth, came up.
And sadly, $1,000 doesn't buy a whole lot anymore.
Right.
And again, there's multiple safeguards in place to prevent any kind of abuse.
I did the reasons I did go through the past year's worth of credit card invoices to generate the list of the usage guidelines. So the things that you see on page 73 of the packet, items A through E. So purchases for memberships, professional development, conference registrations, office supplies, technology, and logo wear for employees and officials, purchases for travel, meals, and accommodations, vehicle expenses, and then also a section for the administrative committee or township board to approve anything that doesn't fall within those four parameters.
Okay. I also had one other question. On page 74 of the packet, after item D, first of all, it goes on and says that they have to agree to abide by the credit card user agreements. But then after item D, the clerk will be responsible for reviewing each statement as soon as possible to ensure that transactions comply with this policy. Any transactions that are not documented with a credit card or signed voucher, which means they have no evidence and they're not willing to sign their name that it was a legitimate purchase or use of the credit card, shall be immediately investigated. I assume that is by the clerk. But then the transactions that do not appear to comply with this policy, in other words, a questionable transaction, shall be reported to the township and manager immediately. And in my line of work, if I'm asked to research something and investigate, I report to my supervisor. So I'm wondering why the clerk would report the results of an investigation to the manager, which I don't think that you're her supervisor. So I question the logic of why the clerk would have to report to the manager and not the board.
I mean, I think that language is in there because I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations of the township and also for managing the employees. So if there was a concern of an employee, the clerk would bring it to me and then we would investigate it, likely involve the administrative committee, depending on what the situation is, it would escalate from there. But as the head appointed official for managing staff, the thought was that it would come to the manager.
Not so much as that she's reporting to a superior, it's that she's reporting to the person that is going to have the rapport with the employee to then
Just a procedural
investigate
thing.
farther and
And to have
find out
two
what
A
happened.
hierarchy thing, but a procedural thing.
Yeah, we're kind of doing that procedure right now. This just makes it in writing.
And to have two people involved in the investigation is absolutely better than it all being on you.
Yeah.
And the former policy, it was the manager that was required to review the statements.
Right, yeah, that was another thing. The manager had a lot more to do in the first one, whereas
Yes.
it's been mostly transferred those duties to the clerk
Yes.
in this revision. So
The clerk has to sign her name to those checks, so she is fairly
okay,
particular
all right.
about wanting
Yeah,
to.
I get it. It's just, it's
We could
just
change
my,
it to the administrative committee. I mean, I feel like the administrative committee is responsible for oversight of personnel as well. So if you're more comfortable with it, I would be fine with amending that to say, shall be reported.
Just me. I mean, I'm just one of 7 votes up here, right? And my experience has always been, you're asked to do something, you report to your immediate supervisor, and they can disseminate whatever they want to. My job's done.
Right.
So,
But in this case, we don't have an immediate supervisor, we have the general public as our immediate supervisor.
yeah, I think, just me personally, I think maybe to the administrative committee would make more sense to me.
I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah. That's where likely, if I found
That's where it ends
something
up anyway.
that was not appropriate, that's where I would take it next, would be the administrative committee. So I think partially too, because the manager's here is full-time, right? The officials are only here part-time. So if there's an issue, turn it over to the person who's here every day to help investigate it and figure it out. But the admin committee is fine.
Hopefully, it will never come to this.
That's right. Since it's only 3 if you have a card anyway.
Right.
They have to ask us to use it anyway, so.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Okay, Bill is done.
Thank you for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? At this point, I would entertain a motion regarding action item number 10.
I'll move to approve the updated credit card policy as presented.
Would you like to make the amendment about the admin committee as opposed to the manager for the clerk's report?
So we
Yeah.
also need to remove the head assessor, the facilities director, and then change the admin committee from the manager under section.
I think I said as presented.
But she's right, though, if they only meet once a week and she's here every day, that's gonna be a delay in the investigation. Unless all of you are like, get an email or a call or something, so that you know.
We can meet anytime, if need be.
I can place phone calls. I mean, the world has changed a bit. If I needed to get a hold of the admin committee, I could get help.
We're here.
The little red phone with the beeper on it. Move the guy's head apart and.
The bat phone?
Yeah. So Rick, you motioned to go ahead and approve it with
As presented.
Janine's 2 positions change and then the recommendation for, okay. Then I would second that.
Okay, is that clear, Patty? Did you get what they're going for? Okay. So I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Can I get a roll call, please?
Hunt,
Yes.
Ryber,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Bovarder,
Yes?
Susie,
Yes.
Deaton, yes, Spiher.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Action item number 11 is continuing on our redoing of our forms, is a consideration of a request for review and approval of a purchasing policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this, unlike these other 2 policies, this is a brand-new policy, one that in my opinion is long overdue. I do think that there, perhaps in the past, had been some maybe more informal provisions of a purchasing policy that had been followed in the office, but when I dug into looking for something a little more formal, nothing nothing was identified, and I do think this is a very important policy for a community to have for the reasons I outlined in my memo. So this basically is a purchasing policy, and on the table this evening, as a result of discussions earlier today, I'd also like to request your consideration of a few changes to this particular policy, and I'm going to go through this one a little bit more closely than the others because it is brand new. So the first portion of this does lay out a purpose of the policy, and then the second item in your packet was setting limits on threshold categories. And I think that this created some confusion, and so I'd like to propose a change in what was in your packet to Article 2, which is really intended to be a limitation related to getting bids and doing cost comparisons. So Article 2 is meant to be, and what I propose to change is for it to be a cost comparison or a quote requirement threshold, so that purchases under $10,000 would be required to get a cost comparison rather than get multiple quotes. Now, it does tell staff that it is desirable to get multiple quotes, then in as much as possible that there should be cost comparisons and multiple quotes for anything under $10,000, but it may not be feasible in all situations. The marketplace has become very, very difficult to get quotes in, and so this allows some flexibility for a purchase under $10,000 not to have to get 3 quotes if the manager determines that the cost is fair. And then for any purchase over $10,000, there would be a requirement to go out and get 3 quotes for that. And then later in the policy, there's a breakdown that says if it's over $75,000, the board can require competitive bidding. But then any purchase over $10,000 would require multiple quotes, or if you can't get 3 quotes, a justification for why you were unable to get the 3 quotes. The policy then provides exceptions to getting quotes or bids and puts some parameters in place for when you would not be required to do that. I won't go through them one by one. It provides some provisions for if there is a change order to a good or service that has been purchased, what the parameters of that are. It also provides standards for competitive bidding and requirements for doing a competitive bid. There's a requirement for confidentiality and bid shopping. And then there are spending limits proposed, and there is another change in this section that I wanted to point out to the board. So this purchasing policy would allow for the supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and manager to spend up to $5,000, provided that the funds are appropriated and available in the budget. If there is going to be an exceedance of the budget amendment, then the board has to be made aware of that prior to any purchase. And then any purchase over $5,000 are required to be reported to the township board. If there's an emergency, there is an ability for officials to go over $5,000 in the event of an emergency. One of the changes we'd like to request this evening is for the facilities director spending. The policy that was in your packet provided up to $3,000, and then between 3 and 5 required township manager approval. We'd like to change that to spend up to $5,000 and require prior approval of the clerk, treasurer, or the township manager. And again, in this case, as in all cases, things have to be budgeted. So in order to have any expenditure, there has to be a budget line item that is corresponding to it. There is a provision in here that staff can spend up to $1,000. They are required to have prior approval from the manager or their department head, and again, funds have to be in the budget. Then there's just some cleanup language, and I know this was a lot to throw at you this evening. It sort of came about because I didn't feel like I could write the credit card policy without also putting together a purchasing policy, but if you want to see changes to this, I'm not necessarily seeking approval this evening, although if you're happy with it, that's fine too.
I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding the facilities director, you wanted to change the 3,000 to 5,000, and it says purchases above 5,000 must go to the Board of Trustees for approval?
Correct.
Okay.
Kelly, I thank you for taking what we had discussed earlier and make changes, but this was what you have in the board packet compared to what you put over here. I would really like to maybe table this till the next board meeting so I can further review, because there's quite a few different changes. If you guys are comfortable with that, there's quite a bit that she yellow highlighted, and I want to just make sure that the language is good and everything, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. When I took your comments and made the changes, it didn't look like that much to me, so I was like, I'm just gonna print it and see if the board's comfortable with these changes, that's fine, but if you wanna bring it back to the next meeting, that's absolutely fine too.
It's a lot of information, and it's an important document. So I have no problem with tabling this tonight and bringing it back to the next meeting.
Same.
Yep, me too.
Thank you again, though.
Yes,
If,
thank you.
if we ever get through policies, maybe you won't have to work so late every night.
Maybe.
Okay, would anyone like to make the motion to table this
I
until
will
the
make a
next?
motion to table the consideration of a request for the review and approval of the purchasing policy until the next board meeting,
July 17th,
July 17th.
24.
Wait,
21.
21.
I went by
I'm
what
all
you
over the
said
map.
initially. Hold on.
21.
It's the 7th.
21.
Yeah, 21st, okay.
July 21st, 2025.
I'll second it.
And if anyone else has comments, please let me know. I'd like to make changes and get it back to you in a format that may be ready
Sure.
for adoption at the next meeting.
So I have a motion.
I'll support.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same? Motion carried. Moving on. Discussion item number 12 will be consideration of a request to approve the proposal from Michigan Solar Solutions to repair the lighting system on the Genoa Park sign at a cost not to exceed $2,385.31 from Parks and Recreation Fund line item 208-751-934-060 for park maintenance.
So I took a look at the quote that was in the packet, and the lion's share by far and away is the cost of the battery. And I thought, wow, you must be able to float to work in this battery. It's some battery, you know. And I've never bought one of these batteries, so I just did a check online, and just my 5-minute check using Safari Internet, this battery is available for a much lower cost. In fact, the battery source about a mile up the road on Grand River sells this type of battery. So it's not anything weird and exotic that you have to buy from some foreign country. So I just thought that it would be worth the time and effort to investigate alternate batteries, either batteries or battery suppliers or brand names, to try to save some money and get it done for same work done for less money.
What was the difference in price you found?
So if I look at the invoice, or the quote here says one battery for $1,875.30.
I don't know why they have it that way. It's actually 2 batteries.
So that's something, right? So one battery for $1,800 is a lot of money for any kind of battery. But when I just looked at that C335 blah 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 blah, I just went Safari and I found that the battery source up here, you can buy that for anywhere between, and they're rated, the higher the amperage, the more the cost. But they go from a range from $142 to their top of the line Cadillac at $700. And I'm looking at $1,875 for a battery.
It's actually 2
Okay.
batteries.
What
It's
was
a
I looking at,
poorly
though?
written quote.
Okay. So still, I
So-
mean, if you come up
It's still high.
$940, it's still
That
up.
specific battery, the cheapest I found it for online was $650, and I don't know if you have shipping on top of that. I wasn't going to go through the whole checkout procedure.
I was just gonna walk up here and just buy it and put it in my car and
Well, yeah, well, so the problem is, we then have to get it into the sign, which none of us necessarily are qualified.
Well,
Don't
I
get me
mean,
wrong,
I'm
I'm sure I
okay
could
with
figure it
paying
out.
the pros, the labor and their call. Like I said, I was focused on the cost of the battery. I just think we can do a better job and get the job done for less.
I'm looking at the quote, and it's saying one battery.
Right, that's what I looked at.
But then if
Well, it
you
says
look, it
batteries,
says labor
plural.
to replace 2. It also has sales tax on here, which it shouldn't.
Yeah,
I did pull the original quote from Green Panel, and it's 2 batteries.
Yeah, it says batteries.
Yeah.
It also
Plural.
says one,
It does.
singular.
It does.
So I'm paying $18.75 for one battery. Yeah.
I'm not
batteries,
opposed
it's-
to
there's
looking into this
contradictions
further.
in there. So anyways, that's why I wanted to bring it up for discussion. I think we can go back and sharpen our pencils.
How is it, I have a question, how is it that a solar light requires batteries?
you have to
Well,
store
You
the
gather
energy.
the
Valve.
energy during the day and you store it in a battery, so then the battery can operate the light when there's no sun to operate the light.
The solar light has to store in the battery.
Batteries just
And then at night, that battery is illuminating the sun.
It's a rechargeable
the sun.
battery.
A rechargeable
The deep
battery.
cycle, so it's made to, like a boat. It's made to be supercharged, and then it's able to be drawn down to near zero,
And like
and then the sun charges it back up.
with regard to, they have this model, and this model, but they're all like the amp hours. In shopping for golf cart batteries in the past, if you buy the one that has lower amp hours, its service life is greatly diminished. So if money allows, you would buy the one that has more amp hours because it's going to have a longer service life. So we won't have to go down this path as often.
No, I
When's the
get it.
last time they were replaced? Do you have that?
So that sign was installed in 2013, and that's the original.
Okay.
So it's
12
been
years.
12 years.
The other issue, though, is, the internet doesn't come out and help you when it breaks. It is excellent for some things where you can get a good price, but there are some services that come from your provider.
Like I said, I'm not opposed to the service rate that they're charging us to come out here and install it and take the old one away. It's just the cost of the battery. And I mean, I don't want to drag it on. I just think that we can get it done for less money.
But the only thing is, if you take that battery sale away from them,
And the
they're
labor's
not
gonna
going to
go
come
high.
out and do the labor for that.
All right, I'll read the
A
manual.
lot of service
Give me a
providers only
wrench.
touch the
Give me a
products that
screwdriver.
they've-
I'll figure it out.
that they've learned to trust.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe get one more quote to compare. Are they the only people that do that?
It's
Battery source install batteries as well?
No.
It's a little bit of a limited item. There's not a ton of providers. There are a lot of people that do solar panels on houses, but that doesn't mean necessarily they're going to come out and do our sign. The sign place over on Plus Drive does some sign work. They do not replace batteries. They don't do the solar portion of the sign. They just do the sign portion of the sign. So this is a fairly specialized service, so to speak. We can certainly look into it. I'd be shocked if you save more than $200. And you may get a contractor you don't trust.
And this
you
is the
never
same
ask, you
group
never
that
get.
put in the original one?
It is not. Green Panel installed the original one, and they no longer will do service on it. They don't return phone calls or. So we found this company a few years ago, and they've been great to work with.
Oh, there's been other issues with that up there?
Just anytime, we also have these solar panels out here to the left of the garage, and there's monitoring on those, and they help us whenever we have an issue with that. So this was one of those situations where finding a vendor was very, very difficult. Finding a vendor that would return calls and give quotes was something that was a challenge.
Do they also take care of our solar umbrellas?
They do not.
Okay.
That was a different company.
Yay, solar.
It's getting tougher and tougher to find people to do some of these things, and you don't want to burn bridges with people that are reliable. One of the things that came up, Kevin and I were talking about the furnace maintenance for here, and the renewal for that, and it was a couple $1,000s for an annual deal. And we both said, that seems a little high. And then I started calling around to the people I know in the furnace maintenance arena, two very well-known ones in the area, neither one will do commercial anymore. So, I mean, it gets narrow and narrow who's gonna take care of it, these things. And, we're not gonna have Bill Reiber out there changing a solar battery. No,
For
we're not.
$1,875, you just might.
And then you're doing it again next year and the next year off it under the warranty, yeah. No. Anyway, I think, my personal opinion is I think we should just do it and not worry about running it down, because I
I'm
think when we
worried
run
about
it
the
down, we're gonna
taxpayers'
run
money.
down to nothing. We're gonna run up to just wasting more time.
The money we save,
Yeah,
because the quote's $2,385.
yeah.
The money we save is gonna be less than we're gonna pay someone to do the research and find a cheaper quote.
Exactly,
That is the issue.
yeah.
Well, let's prove that statement.
Do we nominate Bill Reiber to do the shopping?
It's gonna be a
Locate the
short
contractor?
conversation with me. It'll be a short conversation.
You know, and I'm curious about this furnace problem. I know furnace people too.
And a lot of the same people, I called them. I know Mrs.
That,
Michael.
that deadline is
actually
next
came along
Wednesday,
with
if
them.
anyone would like to submit.
Yeah.
Please
I
get
know,
them,
right? It's fantastic.
please
Yes.
get them to
But they-
submit a
but
quote.
you'd be surprised how many don't do commercial anymore.
We are trying to get 3 quotes, and we have not been successful yet.
Tell me what to stay, and I will call them tomorrow.
Okay?
I think they got a posting on Genoa Township's website for HVAC,
It's,
so taking quotes for it.
it's on there.
Okay.
It's on all of our socials.
I just happened to see it on the website. I did see that it was out there.
Yep, we tried to reach out far and wide and cast a big net.
All right, I will call. I will let you know what I find out tomorrow.
Okay.
So
I'll get you the RFP.
I would like to see us bring this quote to a vote and not waste any more time with it. And if it doesn't pass, then we'll go that route, but let's see where it goes.
Well,
I'd
do we
move to
vote?
approve
Hang on a
Michigan
second.
Solar
Do we vote
Solutions.
on items on the agenda, or do we vote on items on discussion? Because this is a discussion item.
Yeah, because we approved moving it to a discussion item, I'm not so sure that it's in a position to be voted on for action anymore
Yeah,
this
yeah,
evening.
yeah, we agreed to move it to discussion, so.
Good move.
A couple more weeks in the dark.
We definitely can do a little research, and come back at the next meeting and see what we're able to find.
Thank you.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay. With that, we will move on to discussion item number 13, which is a discussion regarding safety and security as requested by trustee Susie.
Yes, this is becoming more and more of an issue in the country and everywhere for security and safety. And I had a couple of ZBA board members express concern about safety and security. And I think that it is something that we need to address. I think we need to look into it much deeper, and we need to look at some modifications in order to satisfy the concerns of our board members and also staff in regards to security and safety. I'm not looking for a detailed conversation tonight. What I'm looking for is support so we can achieve, at least go out and start getting some bids and get some input from this board and the staff for what security measures that we should consider, and then go from there.
I would like to piggyback onto what you're saying. As we are subject to the Open Meetings Act, we need to be aware of how our discussion goes. But as this is regarding safety and security, it's unwise to go, here's all my cards. So we need to explore how we can have this discussion in a legal way where we still don't show everybody our cards.
Right.
Good idea.
Agreed. And I will point out, at our last staff meeting, staff did bring 2 suggestions that they felt would make them feel more comfortable here in the building, both of which I feel are pretty easy to implement, and I would be very supportive of doing that. So whenever we have somebody consult on those, we'll start to see what the recommendations are for additional security recommendations within the building.
Well, as far as looking for a nod, whether to start investigating and
Yeah.
move through this process, I'm nodding yes.
Yeah.
I'd be all right with that.
100%.
I would assume everyone would be, but I just wanted to bring it up and get the ball
Yeah.
moving in that direction.
Would this be facilities upgrades or security, or how, is there a line
It'd be a
item
little
budget
bit
that
of
we could?
everything.
Pardon me?
Without getting in detail, Bill, it's a lot of everything. A little bit of
It
everything.
would,
As far as where the money
in the budget, it would be facilities
You would,
upgrades.
okay, yeah. But
would
you're
come out
saying
of
you
there.
would pick it maybe from some groundskeeping stuff, some maintenance stuff?
There's a whole lot of different aspects to beefing up.
Depending what all suggested, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it could end up being tagged into a different area, but
But it needs to be handled with candor.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And I think one of the outreach from my end will be to talk to the attorney and find out what steps are necessary to make sure that we're doing this the right way. And also, just a note on the budget, we have $20,000 in the budget for building and grounds security upgrades. So we didn't budget a whole lot of money for security, but if this is something that we decide we want to make more of a priority, we can look at doing a budget amendment for that.
20,000 might cover investigation
Yeah,
and
it might change
proposals.
your
doesn't go as far as it
flashcards
once
up
did.
front. So it's going to be done right, it's going to be a significant cost associated to it. But then when you look at the alternative, if something happens, it's nothing. And if something was terrible to happen from a security standpoint, we'd all be rushing to do everything possible to do it. And, and I don't want to be reactionary. I want to be proactive in this approach. So,
100%.
Agreed.
okay.
Okay. Any correspondence?
I did put 2 items in correspondence. One is, I'll let Janine talk about because she did a lot of the work associated with the bathrooms, so page 88 of the packet.
Well, the bathrooms in the pavilion, especially, I walked in when I first started here in November, and I was actually pretty appalled because I am a clean person. And I went in and saw that they needed some work. I brought the idea to the admin committee and the trustees. I told them that this is something that it would be a project that I would like worked on. We had the floor done. We had epoxy on the floor. We hired a new cleaning crew, and I don't know if you could see the stainless steel. That was pretty rusty looking and had that white film over it. They were able to get some of that barkeepers and scrubbed it pretty clean. And we replaced the toilet seat with one that was a closed lid versus something that was open all the time, and had it painted, just recently painted over the past week. And it looks pretty good. I think the total cost was under $5,000 to get them both up and running and looking good.
Huge improvement.
Oh, it looks really
Big,
nice.
big improvement. It'll be easier to maintain, and more people probably see the inside of those restrooms than see the inside of this hall. So putting our best foot forward there is good, and it's nice to do. I see our park busy with little
packed
kids
tonight.
everywhere, and moms will feel safe taking their children to a clean, and dads, to a clean, safe restroom. So excellent work.
And then the only other thing, which hopefully you've all already received it in the mail, is just the insert that we put in the tax bill. Thank you to the treasurer for allowing us to print something up and include it in the tax bill. I've already taken a couple questions on the master plan update process. I mentioned before the meeting to a few members that we saw a spike in people downloading the My Genoa app this weekend, which I think is evidence of people getting this in the mail and reading it and implementing it. So I just wanted to include this in the board packet.
And I
tonight
also
so you
want
can
to
see it.
add that, excuse me, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It says important message at the very top.
I saw that.
To help Trustee Walker feel a little bit more comfortable with the precinct changes that came about. And so every household will get one of these with their tax bill.
I was gonna thank you guys for doing that, and my no vote for the blurb on the side of the postcard I'm happy with this. Thank
Perfect.
you. Appreciate
Excellent.
it. It's an important thing. Our,
It is
our
very
voters and
important.
our candidates need us to make sure that people know where to go to vote.
And they'll send those out once the check clears. We didn't have a credit card policy, so I had to write a check. Oh. I do want to bring up one last thing, if that's okay. When I don't know if you guys are all aware. I'm sure you are. I did some upgrades to our ballot room. When I first started here, we had some additional security things, some locks installed and video cameras and new shelving units and stuff. I applied for election security grant, and we were awarded full reimbursement of $4,083.33 from the state of Michigan. So,
All right.
just wanted to let you
Excellent.
guys know.
Way to go, Janine.
Thanks for the great work, Janine.
Thanks.
Well, with that, we do have member updates, or have any of our member boards met since our last trustees meeting with any updates?
The only thing that came out of the ZBA was the concern for security and safety, and that was a conversation there. And that's the only thing I have on that one.
Okay. Planning didn't meet, correct, Bill?
Correct.
Okay.
And doesn't have a meeting in July either, right?
They were thin on topics.
That's great.
And
Canberra would still love volunteers from the community or anywhere for the Melon Fest that's coming up. And they were sort of trying to get some funding for lunches for the kids, and I talked to him about maybe an option for that, but I haven't heard back on his response.
Okay.
At the Meals on Wheels, it was a good thing for
Excellent.
them.
Yeah, but I don't think they have any funding.
No.
You know, we can't do it for. So if you can get some funding, we can help.
Okay.
You know, we could just start right away, really, but I haven't heard back, so I'm not sure if they can do it or not, but seems good. They're busy.
Okay.
Well, as you're all aware, tax bills were mailed July 1st. I am getting some comments already that people haven't received it. So it seems kind of hit or miss, but we really try to push between the website, the app, anywhere we can. Taxes were mailed. If you don't get it, please call us. So we'll keep pushing.
Got mine yet.
You haven't got yours yet?
And you had mentioned earlier that since that tax bill went out and that flyer was with it, we already had 20 new subscribers to the app.
So some people are getting it. It
Yeah.
just seems real hit or miss. At the beginning of the day, it seemed like it was mostly Brighton people that were coming in, but I had a lot of Howell people this afternoon too, so.
Already paying them?
Yeah.
Really? They don't even do yet. My husband comes the day they're due.
A lot of people do.
Regarding the app, Kevin and I were interviewed, 3 weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
By a person from Michigan Township Association, and they wrote an article called "There's an App for That," and we received the proof, or the draft, and it looked great. There are a couple corrections or modifications were made, so some office staff gets credit for doing work with the app, and it should come out in July's issue of their magazine.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
And I believe we're able to attach a copy of that once it's published,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So
And
that,
MHUG got the
Pretty cool.
Oak Point Water Tower power washed on July 3rd. That was fun to watch.
nice and shiny new.
Shiny new. Crazy man up in a bucket rappelling down a water tower with a power washer.
My goodness.
That was interesting.
Additional comments from the board?
I attended the Lake Chemung fireworks, and they were absolutely amazing this year, I have to admit.
Excellent.
WHMI did a clip on them, so
Yeah.
I saw part of them.
Very
They were
cool.
really nice.
And Oak Point's fireworks on the 3rd were outstanding.
I heard
They
that
did a
as
great
well.
job.
Competition.
At least they do them different nights, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to discuss the comment at the beginning of the meeting regarding the noise ordinance. I'm assuming this has been an ongoing issue
So
And the
this has been a
township's
very
done-
ongoing issue. So we have offered multiple times to mediate a discussion between the aggrieved parties, and one of the parties is somewhat open to that.
What is the cause of the noise? They said
Um,
banging.
The claim is potentially working on a vehicle, or it's part of why we've requested some kind of documentation as to what is happening. So far, we only have two people who claim to hear the noise. And there are a bunch of houses within a close-knit area. You would almost think somebody else would be offended as well. We have consulted with our attorney, and we have been following his advice on how to handle this. Previously, we had written some tickets just based on their word.
Did they pay them?
So they did. There was a settlement negotiated outside of court on the tickets.
Okay.
But when that path was followed again, there was a little more blowback, and our attorney suggested that without proper documentation, the Carrie no longer write tickets.
You would think that if they're disturbed by a noise, that when they hear the noise, they could walk outside and go with a phone or some other type of.
There are some
recording
pictures
device.
with some times, but you know,
Sound, a picture doesn't do it any
that's
justice.
kind of the issue. So
How
the,
can they prove that's where they're at? Because they
That
can't
too.
film it, he's got it covered. What
there
do
are
we-
significant issues with the claim is the problem. It's not that we, noise ordinance is very hard to enforce if it's spotty. I mean, if somebody is running some big piece of equipment all night long and you go out there, that's pretty easy. You can, but this, when somebody goes by, the noise isn't being made. So it's very difficult for us to know what exactly is happening. And we have to be able to prove in a court of law, if we're gonna make our ticket stand, that this was actually going on.
Do we still have our noise meter?
We do. We have multiple noise meters and we rent them out. We give people instructions on how to properly use them and document violations. Noise ordinance complaints are very, very difficult to enforce. The only time we've ever gotten a local magistrate to enforce it for us was when we had really good video evidence. We had a lot of written documentation and then video evidence to go along with that.
Have we offered to Bridget to rent the meter?
We let her have it the last time.
Did you? Did she do it?
They did. It didn't quite cross the threshold. There wasn't quite enough, there wasn't a preponderance of the evidence. And they have stated that they're no longer willing to do the readings.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it is a very, very difficult situation.
So they want us to help them, but they won't provide us evidence that we need to help them.
And they are somewhat unwilling to sit down. They will come sit down if they bring an attorney. So, I mean, if they're gonna bring in well, that's fine, but if they're gonna bring an attorney, then I guess we're gonna have an attorney
We
too.
would need an attorney.
So, it just takes it from a nice little, let's sit down and talk and see what we can figure out, to, hey, I bet you my attorney costs more than your attorney, which is not the effect we're going for.
Well, and oftentimes if there's not that preponderance of evidence that we need to do enforcement, it becomes a civil matter where, you know, their attorney talks to their attorney and there's,
Then we're out.
yeah. A lot of times these cases end up in that situation because if we don't have enough evidence to enforce our ordinance, it's frustrating, but there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, it's like we want to help, but, you know, help me, help you.
Right.
Gary has a whole chain of emails, so it's not like we're ignoring the situation, but we're only hearing from these same two people over and over and over. And there are just a number of people nearby that, in theory, should be hearing the same noise.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, it's not the world's greatest situation, but it's kind of hard for us to interfere in neighbor disputes.
Well, and I guess that's a good segue to, and I know you all got an email regarding the Edwin Drive road maintenance. if you recall, when this came to the board, I said the township does not like to do road maintenance special assessment districts. We considered this one because it went so well the first time. We had no issues. This time is absolutely not that case. This board does not vote on who their project manager is going to be. That is their decision alone. We are merely here to assist financially.
Facilitate the financial part of it all. Yeah, I looked at that and said that it's not our fight.
It is not our fight.
That's their deal to figure out on their own. We
Correct.
can't get in the middle of that.
I mean, there is possibly, and I did not get a chance today to look it up, and what the process would be. Since no money's been spent yet for this project that we approved, there is possible the board could consider to rescind our offer. I don't know, I will have to do some research on that, because these special assessment districts go through Public Act 188, and we'll have to look at the rules and regulations. I don't know that it's come to that yet, but if it continues to be an issue and they can't get any work done, we may have to consider that.
I have a very real concern with us collecting money if it's not, they're not doing the work, right? That I would think we would need to rescind the district if the project is not going to go forward.
Which just so happens to be on their summer tax bill. But nobody has paid yet, and if they do pay, we obviously would refund the money, so.
Yeah.
So what's the next step? Do you reach out to them? Say,
I think
No?
we stay out of it.
Yeah,
this won't do
we
anything?
we approved the project with the project manager they gave us. So unless the chosen project manager voluntarily steps down, or, you know, a larger contingent than 7 come in and request that that person be removed, I'm not comfortable modifying the agreement that we agreed to. We made the decision based on
Yeah,
the facts in front of us.
who knew?
I did.
Oh, you
That's
did?
why we don't do maintenance.
Well, I have to admit, yes, wiser people told us not to, but we were just trying to help.
It seemed like they needed it. They
It
seemed
worked
like was
before. It
important
really
to
did,
them.
so.
Hopefully, whatever is happening will get squared away. Maybe the new guy's just,
Hopefully.
you know, having some trouble getting his footing. I don't know,
Right, right.
so.
We'll see how everything
That's that
develops.
update.
We'll see how everything develops and go from there.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would entertain a motion to
Dismiss.
Adjourn.
adjourn.
I am entertaining that motion.
Third.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 8:07 PM.
Thank you.